Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for being participants in my seminar. My name is Siti Amanah, and the subject of my talk today is about the using of captions movie to develop vocabulary skill of EFL learners. Well, I've chosen this topic actually because vocabulary skill is one of the central components of developing successful communication and literacy skills and has been seen as an integral part of language by both researchers and teachers. Therefore, students and teachers need to find the appropriate or the best ways in their teaching and learning vocabularies. And one of the best recommended ways is by using captions movie. You know what is captions movie means?
No.
Captions movie just like subtitled movie. Well,
I
yeah, I have divided my presentation into two parts. The first one is I'm going to explain you about the problems that mostly happen in a vocabulary classroom, and the second part is about how captions movie work to develop vocabulary skill of EFL learners. Well, let's consider about them one by one. The first one is about the problems that mostly happen in vocabulary classroom. Well, we all probably know that words represent complex and often multiple meanings. Failure to distinguish among the different kind of vocabularies can lead us to confusion about using it in our daily conversations. Furthermore, the situation in the classroom mostly hard to motivate students to understand the different context of the similar vocabularies. In addition, the situation will getting worse because the teacher create the boring situation in the classroom because the teacher mostly explain or mostly bring the vocabulary classroom into just like filling the blank in the reading passage, or for example answering several questions, or just explaining the words and its definitions. In it makes us bored. Am I right?
Yes.
They seldom involve such as technology, for example, or multimedia to support the learning of vocabulary comprehension itself. This way makes the students hard to develop their communication skill because in fact words come in two forms. The first one is that in print form and the second one is in the oral form. Well, by using, for example, reading passage to explain the learners and also by explaining the definition of the words, it just focus on print form. Well, it's what we need, or what the most important thing to do about vocabularies itself is that using in our communications. So how to develop the communication skill using captions movie is the best way, and how it works. Let's move to my next point about how captions movie works to develop vocabulary skill of EFL learners. Well, the ways of learning vocabulary must involve technology and multimedia in order the students can have more interactions with language itself by orally, pictorially, and also written form. Abdullah argued that combining words and visualizations is more effective in learning vocabulary skill than just providing, for example, words and its definition. So without go further with my explanations, I think you have got my point that captions movie really helpful in developing vocabulary skills of your learners. But let me explain to you why. Many educators believe that TV program and also movies with captions provide a rich context for foreign language comprehension. Just consider about this point. I think we all probably understand that our attitude toward the capture of the target language really affect to the way of us learning that language itself. So by keep watching the movies, we will build our positive attitude toward the target of language that will help us to develop our vocabulary skill. That's one of the advantages of these strategies. Besides, according to Dana, viewers are quite motivated to understand what is shown and said on televisions, which captions are provided. Many educators all over the world recommended their students to watch the TV program and examples or the movies with captions in order they can develop their communication skill. Because we probably know that we all probably know that the words or the sentences chosen in a movie itself, that's the word or the sentences that we always use or we usually use in our daily conversations. That's why captions movie really work. And the second point is that in terms of source of motivations, I think we agree about this point that motivation really has an important role in the classroom itself. So how it works using captions movie, I have two arguments that support this point. The first one is about the source of information, that their perception about the immediate utility of the target language in the community. By using captions movie, like what I've said before, because captions movie provide words that we always use in our daily conversations, so that they can directly use what they have seen in that movie in their daily conversation, so they are motivated to learn in the classroom. And the second point about this motivation is that their perceptions about the enjoyment level in the classroom. The enjoyable level, I mean. They are enjoyable and interesting in the classroom are defined. No, I mean just like define our way in learning itself. For example, the captions movie works here is that because the captions movie will make us enjoy the classroom, because they're not only catch the words in the subtitle itself, in the captions itself, but they are also being entertained by the plot or the story of the movie itself. So that's why captions movie really works to develop vocabulary skill of the learners. So to sum up what I've been saying, captions movie really helpful to develop vocabulary skill of young learners, because for the first one is about communicative purpose, that students can directly use what they have seen in the, for example, in that movie in the daily conversation. And for the second is that about the enjoyment level in the classroom. It leads me to the end of my presentation. If there are any questions, recommendations, comments, or something like feedback, feel free to ask. Yeah, Pak Jamal?
Thank you. I really interested with your topic, and I believe it gives students new experience in learning vocabulary. But as we know, most of subtitle in movies are used in informal vocabulary, and for me, it will gives a bad impact for students in writing skill. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that questions. That are really nice questions. I have read a journal about this point that the researcher used the appropriate movie, the appropriate movie that he or she has selected that movie. Also, they are watching that movie with by supervising of the teacher. The teacher, for example, control the process. For example, after they're watching that movie, the teacher can explain to the students that this word is not appropriate to be used in outside of classroom, something like that. I think that's. Yes, Sonia?
I just give you a disagreement, so we have a different point of view. So I think that the using of subtitle is not appropriate method to be used in the teaching vocabulary, because we know that there is no algorithm or trusted site or corporation that provide the original subtitles, and also how we interpret the word or the sentence is different with others do. So we cannot say that this word means by this word, but I think that the best method to teach vocabulary is dicto method using dictionary, and because the dictionary has a very verified and audited by a trusted institution like in the Oxford Dictionary or something like that. And I think that I suppose that the best method to teach vocabulary is use dictionary, not subtitle.
Well, your point is about using dictionary. I have explained to you before that it's about explaining words and its definition. It's quite boring in the situation of the classroom. While using captions will be focused on communicative purpose, it doesn't mean that we need to understand about the words itself in the context of in the really formal situation, something like that. But what students need to do in the classroom is that they need to interpret the words by that movie. For example, the actors or the actress act something and they say something, it really reflects the the meaning of the word itself as a communicative purpose, of course.
But the effect is, if the student find for example, the title like this, they will use this kind of sentence of the word as long as they understand that the word is meant by that. But when they find another word, the same similar word with different subtitle, they will be confused. For the beginner lesson, like that.
I got it. Actually, I've explained to Komaruni Jamal before that teachers like for example, the best subtitles because he or she is going to use it in the classroom. So he needs to choose the subtitles and also the appropriate movies for that. And the focus of this is like what I said before, is about communicative purpose. It means that they need to use in their daily conversations. We thought actually subtitle here doesn't mean that the subtitle is on your target language, but it can be also in that foreign language. So they can understand the context of that word used by the act of the actors and the actress, something kind of thing like that. Is there any questions? I think the time is not yet prepared for any questions, something like that. Thank you very much for being participants. Thank you for your attention, and I close by saying wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.